Hey guys, we're going to be starting Unit 4 today, so we're going to start with 4.1, adding and subtracting polynomials. So something you're going to need to remember is how to combine like terms. We've done this before, but we're going to do it with polynomials this time. So if you remember, like terms are just terms with the same exact variables and the same exact exponents. So like in this first example, my x squared term and my x squared term can be combined. If they don't have the same exact variable with the same exact exponents, we cannot combine them for adding and subtracting. So let's look at this first example. This is an adding example, so we are just going to add all the terms that we see. We don't have to do anything special. I'm just going to find my x squared term and my other x squared term, and I'm going to add them together. So I know that a negative x squared plus a positive 2x squared is just going to give me x squared. All right, next I'm going to find my x terms. So let's do that in orange. I've got an 11x. I've also got a negative 5x. So if we combine those, that gives us a positive 6x. And last, we're going to find all of our constants. So I've got a positive 13 and a negative 23. Combine those and we get negative 10. Notice I put my highest degree terms first. So it's a good way to stay organized, and it's also the form that we like to see our answers in. So make sure you've got your highest powers in the front of your answer and your constant at the very end. We can also look at a subtracting example. So subtracting is a little different because you've got a negative sign. So we're not just adding, we are going to apply the subtraction symbol or that negative to every term in those parentheses. So it's almost like distributing out that negative and then adding. So I like to do this by rewriting the equation just so we don't get confused. So I would rewrite this. I would say 5k squared minus 4k plus 7. And then I'm going to distribute that negative. So I'm going to subtract negative 3k squared. And I'm going to have a negative 9k now. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so I'm going to have a positive 3. Once again, we're going to start with our largest or our highest degree terms. We're going to combine them. So I'm going to find all of my k squareds. Make sure to include that negative if there's a negative. So I've got 5k squared and a negative 3k squared. If I combine them, that's 5k squared minus 3k squared, which gives us 2k squared. Then we can find our k terms. So that's like k to the 1. So I've got a negative 4k and a negative 9k. If I combine those, it's negative 4 minus 9, which is going to give us a negative 13k. And lastly, we'll find our constants. We've got a positive 7 and a positive 3, so I'm going to add a 10. And guys, I know that there are several terms in this, but it is perfectly fine for our answer. We are just trying to simplify it as much as possible. So why don't you try a couple examples? I'm going to zoom in on each question, so make sure you answer it in the Edpuzzle. It's going to ask you to solve. So you'll select the correct answer. And then once we get down to the bottom, we'll do the same thing, but I'll work it out after so you can check yourself and see how you did. So go ahead and try number 1. And try number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. number 7, number 8, number 9, and remember sum means we're going to add those together. Number 10, and I'm actually going to work through this one with you guys. So it says subtract 2w squared minus 52 plus 10 and w cubed plus 6w squared minus 2. So that subtract means we're going to just subtract them. So I'm going to write it out. Oops. All right, and we're going to do the same thing we did in that subtraction example. So we're going to distribute out that negative and then combine like terms. So I end up with 2w squared minus 52 plus 10 minus w cubed. Whoops. See, I messed up. Got to be very careful with those negatives. So I've got negative 6w squared, and a negative times a negative gives me a positive 2. Then we're just going to combine like terms. So my only cubed term is going to be a negative w. So I'm going to have negative w cubed. Then I'm going to find my squared term. So I've got a negative 6w squared, positive 2w squared, which is going to give us a negative 4w squared. And then I'm going to combine all of my constants. So I've got negative 52, 10, and 2, which is going to leave us with negative 40. So be very careful on that one. A lot of times we'll forget that negative on the w cubed. So just pay close attention to your signs. All right, go ahead and give number 11 a try. And I'll work through that now to make sure you've got it. So we're going to find the perimeter of the triangle below. Remember, the perimeter means we're going to add up all the sides. So we're going to say, well, this first side, 6x plus 1, we're going to add it to this other side, which is 5x, and I'm going to add it to 3x squared plus 2. All right, so the same thing, we're going to find our like terms and combine them. So I've got, I'll do this in a little salmon color. So we've got our 3x squared. Then we've got our x terms. We've got a 6x and a 5x. So we're going to add those to get 11x. And then last but not least, we're going to find our constants. I've got a 1 and a 2, so I'm going to add 3. So that would be an expression to show the perimeter of our triangle.